guys, here we are live in New York outside the Lowe's Theater for the Captain America Civil War premiere here. I got tickets from Collider for this great event. Very excited to be here. We just hopped off the train. We're waiting in line. We're not going to be able to get in for about an hour or so, but it is worth the wait even though it's drizzling a little bit. You can see the line is starting to back up down the block, but it's all good. We are all Marvel fans. We are all here to have a great time. I will check back in with you guys in a little bit for more updates.
Thank you. That's really what that's it. Does anyone, while we're killing a few minutes, one thing, we're going to be filming this Q&A after the screening. I don't know if everyone knows. Does everyone know we're doing a Q&A after the movie? Yeah! So here's the thing. The Q&A is about 40 minutes-ish, something like that. So I just want to point out that I've asked them a lot of questions. I mean, a lot. So I'm really hoping you guys are going to have some new questions to ask along with the stuff I'll ask. So while you're watching the film, or even right now, be thinking about whatever you want to ask. Spider-Man, Black Panther, you know. Also, you guys in this theater all know they're doing the next 2 Avengers movies. Yeah. And I assure you, after you see this film, you are going to be losing your mind that they're doing the next 2 Avengers movies. So I'll give them a little thing that I learned from talking to you guys. When did you receive the draft of Avengers Infinity War Part 1?
What, like 4 days ago? Yeah. So we have it in hand now. I'm going to break into my hotel room. You might be able to get your hands on it.
I actually made copies and I'll be handing them out. I hope you enjoy it.
It came out today. All right, we're going to get into Civil War, but it came out today. You guys are going to possibly name the Infinity War. It's not going to be Avengers Infinity War Part 1 and 2. Is the first movie possibly going to be called Avengers Infinity War? There's no, that's not the name.
We're still figuring out what we want to title them, but what we do know is that we want that they're delineated as films. They're not. This isn't like Harry Potter 7 where it's broken up into 2 parts. These are 2 separate movies that tell very different stories with an overarching villain in both films, but they're different films. So it's important for us to retitle them so people understood that these are completely different stories.
Another little thing, and we'll talk more about this later, but just we're killing a little bit of time. I hope you don't mind. I was going to say that I think you guys start filming when?
November.
And I believe, and this is the crazy part, like if you don't know about making movies, movies are like 3, 4 months, 5 months, like that's a good shoot. You guys are shooting for a year.
Right, from November to September.
Back to back?
It's not back to back, actually concurrently, because it's so complicated to get this cast together. There's so many movie stars, and the Infinity War films are really about the culmination of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, so it's bringing all the characters together to face this incredible threat. When you put that many movie stars in a film, of course these people are in huge demand on other projects, so we have very limited time with them, so we have to execute whatever part they may have in either film at the same time.
I'm going to save more for the Q&A after, but this is a little tease of what's coming. I will say that the thing that, and no spoilers, the thing that you guys are going to lose your minds over is how well you guys brought Spider-Man to the screen and Black Panther. And I think that's the thing that you guys, it's so hard to introduce one character, and you introduced both. I can't wait for everyone in here. No one's seen the movie yet, have they? Oh. Right. Right there. That's a cheater. Right there. Right. Obviously, Marvel is after the credit scenes. Maybe someone from IMAX can tell us. Are we seeing both scenes or just one? Does anyone know? Anybody? You guys know?
We don't know. I would hope, because we're so close to the release, that it would be both. But typically, at screenings like this, in a pre-release, you only get one. But I'm hoping it's both. I'd hate for you to sit through 7 minutes of the credits.
It's worth it. It's worth it.
If you don't get it, the 3 of us will reenact the scene before the Q&A. So.
We're going to hold you to that.
So real fast, just to let you know, we're going to start the screening at, does anyone know what time it is? So in about 5 minutes, we're going to start the movie. So now is the time to use the bathroom. Now is the time to that kind of stuff. But one important thing, when the movie's over, there's going to be hopefully 2 after the credit scenes. Right after that, if you need to use the bathroom, rush out. use the bathroom, and then come back, because we're going to have 3 director chairs down here, and we're going to be filming the Q&A, and we want you to all be here. But the movie is a little bit long, so we want to make sure you can use the bathroom, but hurry back. Anyone have any questions? Yeah, go ahead. Absolutely. Anyway, listen, thank you all for coming out in the rain. We're going to start in about 5 minutes, and I can't wait for you guys to see it. It is so good. So good. Working with them, what you found the experience making 2 films with them?
Look, Marvel is, as you would assume, they're an amazing company. Kevin Feige leads Marvel Studios. He's an amazing producer. They're very, Joe and I got introduced to them when we sort of got on to Winter Soldier. And the thing we love about Marvel is while they're doing something that's unprecedented in terms of doing serialized storytelling with these big event movies where people are sort of appearing in their own individual franchises and then crossing over into other franchises and back, and there's a continuous narrative being chronological narrative being told like has never happened before. They're also very good about not getting ahead of themselves and letting every movie become whatever it wants to be, which is what it energized us and why we wanted to make The Winter Soldier, is they wanted to give every movie the freedom and the space to become whatever it wants to be. Now, you have to honor what's come before in terms of the storytelling, but they don't get you too locked up in terms of, whoa, here we need to hit this beat, we need to go there, you need to set this up there. The conversations are never about that. When we sat down to start talking about doing the next Captain America movie after Winter Soldier, there was no mandate whatsoever from Marvel about anything other than it's called Captain America and probably Captain America should be in it. There was no other character. There's no direction whatsoever on this story. So we just got to sit around for a few months with Marcus McFeely while we were still finishing up Winter Soldier and just talk about all the possibilities of where we could take the story. And for many, many reasons, we ended up leading ourselves to Civil War.
Yeah, before we go any further, you weren't here at the end of the movie and when the credits first came up, so I really mean this. Like, it's hard to make a good movie. It's even harder to make a great movie, and it's impossible to make what you guys just did. So, just for a quick second.
Thank you all very much. Thank you guys so much.
Also, we should point out, and I think we heard it at the beginning, and since we're recording now, people didn't just come here from the city. Like, people came from the west. Like, you guys came from where? Okay, and we also have, like, just raise your hand if you're not from New York. So, right, wait, so Massachusetts, California, Connecticut, Rhode Island, DC. Wait, where else?
Philly.
Philly. Jersey. Queens. Brooklyn.
You guys like the Queens Brooklyn beat? I've been dying to be in a theater in New York City for that beat. I was sad I couldn't sit here tonight for it.
It's just really crazy, though. I'm sure you've seen this. You've just traveled like 3 weeks around the world. Talk a little bit about where you've just gone, and was there one screening somewhere that just, blew you away?
We started in Beijing, we went to Singapore, Paris, Berlin, London, Atlanta, New York, Cleveland,
DC.
And
We'll go to
we'll be
DC
at
tomorrow.
DC tomorrow.
But we started in Los Angeles.
Los Angeles, yeah. We started in LA. He had a pretty amazing screening. We split up in a Team Cap and Team Iron Man, and I had Team Cap in Beijing and Singapore, and he had Team Iron Man in Paris and Berlin. And he said he had a pretty amazing screening in Paris.
The Paris screening is really special. It was for Winter Soldier as well, which Joe was at. There's an old theater in the center of Paris on the left bank. It's called the Rex. It seats 2,500 people. It has 2 balconies. It's just crazy beautiful. And they fill that screening. It's the French premiere of the film, but it's literally all fans. And I never sat through a screening like that before in my life. It was like being at the Rocky Horror Picture Show. You know? Everybody would cheer every time somebody new came on the screen. There was like factions in the audience that some were Team Cap and some were Team Iron Man, and they would alternately boo and cheer depending on whether their side was doing better or worse. Well, the other great thing about France is that they have a lot of respect for film, and so for the premiere, they will present it in the original language, so it was in English with French subtitles, even though most of the screenings they get dubbed. So it was just very, very fun, and I'll tell you this, one of the craziest moments was the audience could sense something was happening when Ant-Man was on top of those stairs at the airport, and he started running, and he starts going, I've got something big, and I'm not sure, you know, blah, blah, blah. And the whole audience just starts going like this in unison. They get to a climax, and then like they climax too early. It was before. I thought it was remarkable.
This is a PG Q&A.
I thought it was remarkable that they just knew that something important or big was going to happen there, and they were with it.
I think with the echo, if you're like this with the mic, yeah, I think that.
All right.
Yeah, I'm difficult like that. Let's also have some fun and talk about like behind the scenes things that I know about that maybe they don't know about. Let's talk about Robert Downey Jr.'s base camp. Good.
It's enormous. It's probably square footage wise about as big as this theater. So
You called it the village?
they do. We call it the village, and it's like 6 trailers. One of which is where his chef works. One is where he exercises. One is where he relaxes, and then he's got like like camo netting over the middle of it with putting green, and it's a big deal to be invited to Robert's camp for lunch because there are tables with misters and fans, and if you have a
He's not making this up.
there's a flat screen TV outside. You sit there and you eat lunch. He's got an incredible chef who works for him, and it definitely takes the pressure off the day a little bit when you have a nice meal at Robert's base camp.
By the way, the whole thing is surrounded by like 15-foot high fencing that you can't see through. So it's a big wall around it. And one day I was standing outside that wall with Anthony Mackie, and he's just looking over there, and all you can see popping over the wall is like 2 palm trees, which, by the way, weren't in the ground because it was all asphalt. So those palm trees were like basically brought in and placed there. And Mackie's just looking up there and he's just, look at those palm trees. Because those things are like $15,000 a piece. It was just, it was interesting.
Badass character. She's one of the more complex characters in the Marvel Universe. She has an incredible amount of guilt about her past, which creates for great storytelling. And I think that's why, we've gravitated towards her character in both Winter Soldier and in Civil War, because she is so complicated and she offers a very different point of view. She wasn't a hero to begin with; she was a villain. Now she's converted into a hero, which makes her really interesting.
And she also knows how to kick ass. You guys like her fight scenes? Scarlett is an amazing actress, obviously, but there's an amazing stunt woman named Heidi Moneymaker who does all her stunts, did all her stunts on Winter Soldier and on this movie, and she's one of the most incredible stunt people we've ever worked with. She's an amazing fighter.
Is there an Easter egg to Arrested Development in the airport scene?
There is. Did anybody see it? What is it? Did you see it?
No, someone.
The stair car from Arrested Development is in the airport.
You are the first person to bring that up, by the way.
It's the Bluth family stair car.
Well, I mean, for people that don't know, you've worked on Arrested Development, Community, maybe some other things.
Yeah, yes. There was an Easter egg in the form of Jim Rash. We started our career, one of the first things that we did that had a lot of impact was Arrested Development. We directed the pilot to that and a bunch of the episodes over the first 2 seasons.
Have to ask, someone on Twitter asked me to ask this, will Spidey be in Infinity War?
Your guess is as good as our guess.
I generally try not to push you on the spot like that, but I will ask.
It's possible. You know, here's the thing. It's very hard to talk about Infinity War at this point for two reasons. Number one are the obvious spoiler reasons, but also even on top of that, we are still in the phase of working things out, working out what exactly those movies are. So we basically what happened with Infinity War is we wrapped Civil War back in August, and in September, we would start spending half our day in the edit room on Civil War, and we'd spend the other half of our day in the writing room with Marcus and McFeely, just talking about where we could go with Infinity War. And we did this for a couple months. Around the end of the year, those guys went off and started to write a draft, and we just got the first draft of the first movie about 4 days ago. So we're still at a very critical phase in the development.
120 pages, 140 pages.
I think it topped out at like 260. I'm kidding.
He's good.
That's going to be all over the
Don't
internet.
post that. Don't post that.
68 characters, 260 page script. No, it's look, they're not going to be short films. That's for sure. There's like 70 versions of that costume, and a wide variance of them. I mean, you know, what's interesting about it is I'm a comic book collector. Who's my favorite character growing up. It was very passionate interpretation of the character. It's what I remembered about what I loved about him when I was 10 years old. You know, that he was a kid dealing with homework issues and acne and girl problems in high school, while he was also burdened with this incredible power. And that's what made him so relatable to me. And, you know, I think, you know, what was really important to us is that we cast a young actor in that part. The other interpretations have cast adult actors, and there were more adult interpretations of the character. And one of that feeling I had of when I was a kid about that vulnerability and that insecurity and that sense of humor that wasn't very self-aware was, you know, he was a motor mouth, and he was constantly sassing off when he was dealing with villains, but it was, you know, it was because he was a kid. He was a bit of a punk. And so that's the essence of what we wanted to capture in this movie. It was important, and I'm getting to the costume, that the costume reflect to us the essence of Spider-Man, so that when you saw the movie, you went, ah, that's Spider-Man. Rather than we had experimented with more extreme, you know, you see like what we did with the with Cap's stealth outfit in Winter Soldier. We don't mind departing from a traditional outfit for a hero as long as we feel like there's a good story reason for doing it. We had a great story reason in this, and that, you know, and this is a spoiler, but somebody created the outfit for him. I don't want to say who, in case people are watching this before they see the movie, but you all know that the outfit was created for him. So we could have, you know, gone in a lot of different directions with the outfit if we wanted to, but we wanted the iconography, the archetype of the character there. So we made, you know, modulations to the Ditko outfit that we felt, you know, we modernized it a little bit, gave it some touches that made sense with, you know, who created the outfit for him, but also used as, you know, the original cobbled together, you know, Underoos outfit to show that he was a bit of a homegrown hero, and that he was operating on the periphery, and Stark, who, you know, is worth a lot of money and has a lot of incredible tech at his disposal, was able to figure out who he was.
Talk a little bit about, was there ever any discussion that the webbing would be natural, or was it always going to be shooters?
We talked about that, and I think, you know, for us, you know, we wanted to go with the shooters because, you know, we felt like, to me, I always loved the concept when I was younger that he created the web shooters. They're part of his genius, and I thought that really, to me, helped define the character. You can interpret it any way you want to, but that's the interpretation that we like. Is that, you know, Peter Parker's a boy genius. That's part of what makes him interesting and compelling.
You know, I would also add, you know, we were reintroducing this character in a Captain America movie, so a lot of our interpretation was very specific to the tone of the movie that we were reintroducing him in, and the narrative needs of the movie that we were introducing him in. So, you know, one thing we tried to do with the Winter Soldier that continues to a degree in Civil War is we tried to ground Cap in the real world as much as you can with a fantasy film. You know, we feel like Cap shines brightest in that context, and it's what sets him off as being unique among the other Avengers, is that he is sort of next door to a normal guy in many respects. So we tried to. That's why we went with the handheld camera style. Very sort of intimate, visceral fighting style that we use for Cap. So because we were doing that, I think we tried to do a much more grounded version in a lot of ways of who Spider-Man was. Part of the choice was casting him as a kid, like getting him really close to that age that he is known as in the books. We tried to contemporize his relationship with his Aunt May, and make it feel like more of a modern, current thing, and get away from the nostalgia of like these older sort of early 60s type relationships.
He doesn't refer to his aunt in the movie, he refers to her as May. So there's a contemporary relationship. What would his bedroom look like with a single parent income in New York City in today's world? So those were all sort of the choices that we made surrounding the character.
And